Good morning and welcome to the pre-agenda interview. For Wednesday, March 25th, 2026 for the Historic Review Commission. Would the clerk please read the title of the bill?
Bill 233, Resolution appointing Helen Sestra as a member of the Historic Review Commission for a term to expire January 1st, 2028.
And for the record, we're currently joined by Councilwoman Strasburger. Ms. Sestra, if you'd be willing to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about you.
Yes, absolutely.
And why you're willing to serve on this commission.
Sure.
And then we'll take questions from members.
Okay, great. Good morning, members of council. My name is Helen Sestra. I'm grateful for this opportunity to share my background with you, my perspective, and my deep commitment to Pittsburgh and its neighborhoods, people, and to its past and future. I'm honored to be considered for appointment to the Historic Review Commission. Pittsburgh is a city of extraordinary character. Its neighborhoods are defined not only by their people, but an architectural legacy that is both diverse and deeply expressive of the city's history. From grand historic residences to modest homes that quietly anchor generations of families, our built environment tells a story that deserves thoughtful stewardship. Protecting that legacy while ensuring that neighborhoods can evolve, thrive, and serve current and future residents is something I feel very strongly about. I do have experience in stewarding a Pittsburgh legacy while guiding responsible growth for the future. My grandparents founded a real estate company here in the city in 1957, originally operating on the corner of Baird and North Neville Street in Oakland, the same street which they lived and raised their family for 50 years. Actually, the home where they lived, according to a book called Pittsburgh, A New Portrait, is one of the oldest in Shadyside. I'm a third-generation owner and really steward of the company and its legacy. We honor our history and our culture at the company every day, and we work off of the way my grandfather modeled the company and have preserved our history while growing substantially. I live this every day, and it's an asset I can bring to the commission. Another asset I can provide: for more than a decade, my professional work as a real estate agent has immersed me in Pittsburgh's historic housing stock. Day in and day out, I'm in Pittsburgh homes, everything from single family to multi-unit condominiums and even commercial buildings. I'm entrusted with guiding residents through neighborhoods across the city. I see how people live, work, and experience our buildings. This has given me a very unique vantage point from which to hear directly from residents about what they value, what they fear losing, and how architectural character contributes to a sense of identity and belonging. With the exception of leaving briefly for my education, Pittsburgh has always been home. I earned a master's degree in communications management with a public relations concentration. And then I returned in my early 20s as a young professional. I have lived and worked here ever since, building my career in civic involvement. I attended Winchester Thurston School in Shadyside, and I live in Shadyside today. My father grew up on Winslow Street in East Liberty in the city's 12th ward, almost at the intersection of Lincoln Avenue. I've heard stories about his childhood and the neighborhood that existed. While I understand that cities must adapt and evolve, these experiences reinforce my belief that growth should occur with intention, honoring history while meeting present-day needs. Prior to my current position, I served as sales director of Howard Hanna's Lawrenceville office on Butler Street. During that time through work, I was a member of the Lawrenceville Corporation, an organization that has navigated tremendous change while deliberately trying to preserve the neighborhood's identity. I currently serve on the board of directors at Family House. Most recently, Family House underwent a complex consolidation of properties, including residences on McKee Place and Neville in Oakland. And we purchased a former hotel on Center Avenue. The process reinforced the importance of preservation and thoughtful reuse in serving community needs. Additionally, I'm a newly appointed board member of Hope Ignites, formerly Girls Hope, which is preparing for the development of a new campus in Garfield. This project will expand vital resources for scholars while thoughtfully integrating into an existing neighborhood, demonstrating the meaningful growth and respect for context can coexist. At the heart of my work in real estate is bringing people to Pittsburgh, inviting them to invest in its neighborhoods. I've grown up here, I went to school here, and my life's work is selling real estate here. I work hand in hand every day touring properties with our city residents and hearing from them in all different communities. I recently found an article from years ago that I was quoted in, and I said, quote, "As a Pittsburgh native, you can sometimes think you know everything about the city. But I'm here to tell you that you don't. The city has a way of showing you new and unique characteristics, end quote. I think in much the same way, our historic buildings, just as our neighborhoods, may have new stories to tell. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. With that, I'll turn it over to our council member for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Ms. Estra, for being here today, and thank you for taking on another, essentially a board role in this Historic Review Commission nomination. I know that the decisions that will come before you will be specific, and they will be narrow decisions that you make. So, but I'd like to ask you a little bit about your worldview when it comes to that balance between historic preservation and what makes Pittsburgh Pittsburgh, right? Honoring history and allowing for change and growth in the city that we so desperately need to be able to have housing for everyone in all neighborhoods, right? So maybe even just whatever experience you'd like to, but even in, the Lawrenceville example is so, I think, salient right now because we have seen tremendous change in Lawrenceville through the time that you were on Lawrenceville. You said Lawrenceville United or Lawrenceville Corp?
Lawrenceville Corp. And they now
Lawrenceville
merged.
Corp.
But,
and they now merged. Yeah. Lawrenceville Corp. Tremendous change over the last 10, 15 years. And, there has been new housing developed. There has been a change in the Main Street. How do you think that Lawrenceville's done?
Yeah.
In kind of that balance between historic
Great
preservation.
question, and I can definitely speak to that, because I did work there for a few years, and I actually think it's interesting. At our company, that is one of our newest offices, and office was put in there really as a hub for new construction and new technology in real estate. So while we are a company that was founded in Pittsburgh in the 50s, we did want to be in Lawrenceville as that presence. So, we kind of as a company emerged that old world Pittsburgh into the new world Lawrenceville. And I think we did that really well. And I think with the rest of Lawrenceville, I personally think it was handled very well. I think Lawrenceville is a strong neighborhood that saw that growth. It's a desirable neighborhood where people want to live and work and people want to visit. I live in Shadyside, but I go into Lawrenceville a lot to go to dinner and go out and see friends. So I think Lawrenceville did a tremendous job with revitalizing the community. And a lot of it there has to do with the amount of housing stock that was there, the opportunity, and the retail space on the commercial street. Having both of those opportunities really, created that growth.
And is there a particular, I don't know if you have had the opportunity to meet or to understand or know who all of the other new and existing kind of members of the commission will be, but
Not quite yet.
Yeah, okay. That's okay. I think you can still answer this. What do you think? You've given us, your vast experience. What do you think you bring that might be a little bit different?
And I do know there's an architect. I think, my level of understanding the architect, I heard the librarian speak, which was fantastic to hear her side of things. And, preservation of the rare books. For me, it really is that real estate side. It is being with people every day in the city, in its neighborhoods, touring homes, understanding how inspections work, how properties need to be maintained, what it takes to get bids on properties, whether they are historic or not. So, I really have that unique perspective. I'm in homes with Pittsburgh city residents every day, hearing what they're saying. Part of my job is also bringing people to Pittsburgh and, wanting them to stay in Pittsburgh, to work here, to raise their families here. So I think I have that unique perspective being with the people of Pittsburgh every day in the properties.
That's helpful. Well, I don't have any additional questions. That exhausts my questions. Thank you for your willingness to serve and for being here today.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Councilman Charlin? I know you just sat down, but...
I was watching online up until I started talking to the commander. Thank you for being here today. I just have... this is our opportunity to talk to you before you serve on the commission. I represent Southside, the Southside Historic District specifically, which has a lot of issues that come in front of you. And I wanted you to talk about the balance between historic preservation and keeping businesses full. So I've got two examples that are very front of mind where we've got a thriving business that was asked to put in new windows, and now they're going to leave Southside because the windows they put in that they needed to put in don't match the historic guidelines. I also have another business that was literally a gas station, not contributing to the district, and viable business wanted to come in, and were told that what they wanted to do was not going to contribute to the business or the historic district. Again, this is a gas station, not a Victorian building by any means. And so the building remains vacant right now. So I wanted to talk a little bit about I wanted to hear from you about the importance of making sure that our historic guidelines are something that are still economically viable.
Yes, absolutely. And speaking of the South Side in the historic district, we actually we own a building in Bedford Square. It was one of our offices for a long time. We have held on to that, and we created a new company and we put it into that office. So I want you to know that is an important area for me. And we didn't sell the building. We kept it and we created a company, and we wanted to make sure it went there. So one of my biggest goals in that scenario, it was a restaurant, did you say? Mm-hmm. Would be making sure they don't leave. So doing what we have to do to make sure they don't leave. Maybe it is some sort of exemption or time frame that they need to get the windows in order, or figuring out what can be done for them if the windows are what it is that is going to make them leave. Maybe finding out if it's something else. But my biggest goal, and I can't speak to exactly how it would be done. But it would be making sure that they stay and figuring out what really is the requirement for the windows and how can we get them there. If it's the funding that's an issue, I imagine that's what it is, that they maybe don't have the funds to meet the specific criteria that the windows need. It would be figuring out some supplemental funding for them, or trying to discover and navigate that for them. But the goal would be to make sure that they don't leave and getting that done.
So one of the other people that came up to speak, one of the other nominees for Historic Review Commission, kind of said the same thing, is like, let's go after grants for them. But grants are finite. So we only have, a certain amount of facade money that we can spend on all the storefronts. And the fact that we're having to spend some of our finite money on restoring this storefront, where there's other storefronts that aren't in historic districts that also need this money. Now, because we've created this essentially artificial requirement.
Maybe it's looking at that requirement again. If a business is going to leave because of that requirement, others will as well. Mm-hmm. So maybe it's really going through and looking at it.
Or won't come in the first place.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So maybe it's actually top down. It has to be reviewed again to see, is this criteria serving the needs of the people and the businesses in the community?
Yeah. Okay. I just, I want to make sure that this is our opportunity to say something to you about that. And I just want to make sure that's something that you're aware of, as you serve on the commission. Thank you for your willingness to serve. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. I'll follow up on Councilman Charlin's sort of questioning. One of the things I think we as a body have struggled with over the years is, and Pennsylvania is a very strong property rights state. How do you balance a nomination of a structure or a home, you're a realtor, that someone nominates as historic, but the owner doesn't want to be designated as historic?
Yes. Well, as being a new committee member, I'd have to understand what defines the historic building and try to understand that. So I think we'd have to do that as well with the owner and show them the value in that. If there is value, defining if that is the right move first, and then showing the owner that there is that value in that and that this is an historic property. I assume they would not want it to be because of financial reasons. Is that what happens? And that's something we have to look at. That's the owner of the home. So if the owner of the home can't afford to continue to steward the home, like I said, if it is a historic property, that is a factor that plays into it.
Yeah, often. It can have I think the most recent example we had before us was, I think, Donnie's place, actually, whereby because of the activity that took place at the bar/restaurant, people viewed it as historic, and for many respects it probably was. But from an architectural, from a building perspective, it necessarily wasn't. and the owner of the property was actually opposed to it. So it just becomes an interesting dynamic of how we balance that.
I think every day in my work, I work negotiations every single day. And honestly, that's a little bit of what that is. It's you try to make a win-win for everyone. You can't always get there, but it is negotiating both sides and making sure that both parties have something of value within the end result.
Okay. Thank you. Obviously, thank you for your willingness to serve. Thank you for being here. If no other further questions, then we've exhausted the agenda for this pre-agenda interview, and we are adjourned. Thank you.
Good morning and welcome to the Standing Committees meeting for Wednesday, March 25th, 2026. All council meetings will be live streamed on the city's website, and for guest speakers, please do not turn off your microphones. Our first order of business is roll call. Will the clerk please take the roll?
Mr. Charlin.
Here.
Mr. Coghill. Ms. Gross. Mr. Lavelle.
Here.
Mr. Mosley.
Here.
Ms. Salinetro.
Here.
Mrs. Warwick. Mr. Wilson. Ms. Strasburger, Chair.
Here.
5 members present.
Thank you. Our next order of business is public comment. I would like to remind all speakers that the rules of council state that comments are limited to matters of concern, official action, or deliberation which are or may be before city council. Profanity will not be permitted. Please state your name and neighborhood for the record. You will have 3 minutes to speak. Our first registered speaker is Chief Ikahana Helmakina.
Greetings. My title is Chief Ikahana Al-Makina. I am the Grand Inca of the Iroquois Confederacy of Aborigine American People. What type of dog and pony show is the city putting on, and for who? Last time I checked, prior to becoming mayor, Corey O'Connor held the position as county controller, a position described on the county's website as the fiscal watchdog. Well, I guess your head was turned while the Gainey administration fumbled the ball. Prior to that position, you sat quietly as a member of city council overseeing and approving budget items, and every dollar the city spent, you approved, were approved by this city council that you were previously a part of. Now, I'm no cheerleader for Ed Gainey, but every time this racist city gets a chance to take a shot or to blame a brother for mishandling or misusing a public office, it finds a way to do so, while their white European colleagues escape and slither out of office with their retirement and pension intact, like Mayor Ravensthal did, while Nate Harper was thrown under the bus and incarcerated for conducting business the way the good old boys taught him how. I didn't see Stephen Sapala rushing to do a sealed search warrant of Mayor Luke Ravensthal when his office was shrouded in controversy. Pittsburgh has a racial bias problem that needs confronted head on. Rachel Heisler had the audacity to champion this investigation, but I'm not surprised. That's just what daughters of the American Revolution do, to support their men. This city is on life support and has no business hosting this NFL draft. This city needs to put itself on punishment until it gets its affairs in order. Sealed search warrants, cops having bar brawls, Masons, children, unbalanced budget, mishandling of court records, vehicle blitzes, house blitzes, homelessness, food insecurities, unsafe bridges, transportation concerns, schools closing, ICE at airports, mass agents controlling our streets, and again, youth being treated and maced like animals. Simply put, Pittsburgh has a problem, and now a spotlight will be on this city in approximately 30 days, and you won't be able to build a wall or contain the problem you all have systematically ignored. Now you're inviting companies to the city to bear witness to the message you're trying to hurry up and sweep under the rug by towing cars, knocking down houses, and a citywide effort.
Thank you. There being no further registered speakers, we will now take comments from those in the audience wishing to speak.
Good morning. My name is Yvonne F. Brown. I live at 715 Mercer Street. That's the high rise up on Bedford. I came today to talk to the president, Mr. Lavelle. I have a message that was sent down to you by Gloria Jones. Her son used to be the union rep that died. I know you know Miss Jones. She's been living up in Katy with Irvis. I think it might be since it was there. She told me to come to tell you and the whole city of Pittsburgh they're getting ready to cut the 81A. We got the 81A, the 83, and then we got the Bedford. We got 3 buses, but those buses don't really connect like they should in the first place. Some older people have to walk a couple blocks to get to different buses. But they're getting ready to cut the one Bedford, cut the 81A. She told me to come and tell you directly, and so all the citizens will know that we've been fighting for years. I live in Katy with Irvis. You won't even give us a bus to take us down to the bottom of the hill to the hospital. Been fighting for years for that. All we ask is that you give us some kind of way, even if it was not a bus, but a little shuttle. Thank you very much. Also, I want you, the whole city, to listen to what the bus driver told me. Now, coming down, I usually walk, but I caught the bus. The bus driver is 3119. That's how kind this bus driver was. I asked for his number. But you need to understand, this little side street where you have the buses, the light changes in 20-something seconds, so the buses can't get through. We're causing the problem if you don't change them lights. You should have somebody check right there at the corner. It says Diamond, and I think this is 4th, right here at City Council, the building, right on the corner. 20 seconds, that's for the bus and transportation to move. Please call and talk to the bus drivers. They're the ones who are using the streets, and they can tell you what streets are which. Please, because we're in a bad situation. A lot of people have to walk to get to the different buses up in our area, and now you're getting ready to take it, and we're going to have to walk even further. I don't mind walking. Since I had my stroke, I try to walk as much as I can to try to get the use of my whole body again. But for the elders, please consider the elders in our building. We have so many that are in wheelchairs and walkers. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good morning, children. I'm not here to only speak. I'm here to teach y'all, since y'all haven't learned what y'all said y'all were going to do. So, Bobby, I don't think he's here, I guess. You said quality of life. So whose life? Because our neighborhoods look like they got put on airplane mode. Kim, you said be responsive. Well, I still have yet to hear a response. Bob, you said clean up blights. Can you take a walk with me through our neighborhoods and see all the abandoned houses? Because they're not getting any better. Anthony, missing as always. You said public safety and basic service matters. Drive down our streets and see if the potholes and the uneven speed bumps are considered safe for the public. It's like an obstacle course. Barb, you focus on infrastructure. So please explain why it looks like our neighborhoods, it was done with your eyes closed. Daniel, you talk about equity, but equity isn't just a word, it's a result. And as a black man from my neighborhood, the Hill District, like, where's the results? Deb, you talk about systems and how the city runs. I'm telling you, the system isn't running right. When are you going to step up? Erica, you talk about development and improving the city. So why does improvement seem to stop right before it gets to us? I can't pronounce your first name, so I'm not going to say it, but Mosley, because none of y'all are Miss or Mr. to me until y'all can step up. But you talk about community investment. You just had a party up there in Penn Hills. I know you had to ride through the worst communities. That's, or are you investing or are you just observing? The potholes are growing and multiplying deep enough to qualify as public pools in our area. Welcome, student. Late as always. But it just don't make sense. I just want to know when y'all going to stand up and actually do just little one thing that y'all said y'all going to do. Except for you, because you really did what you said you was going to do, but you messed the city up. And you know you did. Have a good day, y'all.
Next speaker, please.
Cerise Taylor, the missing child, Special Agent Sunshine. Lord, thank you for divine intervention in this FBI identity theft fraud investigation. Thank you to every government official bringing the corrupt ones to justice and now seeing the 100 trillion watt light shining on everybody involved. In Jesus' name, amen. Psalm 105 says, "For the Lord is good and his love endures forever. His faithfulness continues through all generations." 2 Peter 1:19 says, "And we have the word of the prophets made more certain, and you will do well to pay attention to it, as to a light shining in a dark place," like this place right here, "until the day dawns and the morning star rises in your hearts." The wisdom for today comes from Proverbs 15:30. It says, "A friendly smile makes you happy, and good news makes you feel strong." Good news coming, I promise you. The praise song for today comes from Tamala Mann. God provides, because he does. With no money, no job, no bank account, no credit cards, and no phone. This is how God provides for the homeless. Look at it real good. Look at it. Yeah, look at it, Mosley. Because you're not providing. You are really, really part of this fraud investigation, a big part. And I'm so glad the light is shining on your Roots organization, who is stealing my mail, and who knows whoever else's mail they're stealing. But Congress, please hear me when I tell you, back in the day, I know y'all remember, hands were removed for stealing. We going back to that in Jesus' name, Mosley. The faith step for everybody this week, month, year, however, is to make a family tree. Reflect on ways your ancestors led you to know Jesus' love for you. I have one. It's of my grandmother, my mother, myself, my daughter, and my grandbaby. That's 5 generations? It's amazing. It was in the apartment I left in Atlanta, fully furnished, of 7 years, a 1-bedroom Section 8 unit. I left everything in. I left my 6-month job at Walmart as well, and chose the Lord and justice in this fraud identity theft investigation. There's also computer fraud, insurance fraud. Y'all kill people for money. Y'all have rituals every moon cycle. Somebody gotta die, really? Still coming for me? Here I still stand on his promises to supply me with all of my needs through his riches and glory in Christ, in Jesus' name. I call all my energy back to me, and everything stolen from me, known and unknown, I return to me in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hello, good morning. My name is Heather Maricini, and I'm standing here today as a mother who is exhausted, scared, and honestly breaking. I have a 2-year-old son. He is innocent in all this. He doesn't understand any of this, and I'm hoping he doesn't remember. I'm hoping. He just knows that we don't have a home, that we keep moving, and that his mom is trying her best not to fall apart. Every night, I have to hold my child and not have an answer to the question I ask myself over and over, where are we going to go? I left a domestic violence relationship to save my life and protect my son. That alone took everything in me. And when I finally asked for help, I was told there was nowhere for us to go. Nowhere. So I searched on my own, and I ended up in a shelter that wasn't meant for families. Then finally, we were at the Overflow Hotel. Until our room would finally be available to us. So while I was there, I told my caseworker exactly what I needed. I explained I needed to be in a specific area because my other children are there, because my job was there, and ready to go to take me back, because that's where my only support system is. I was trying to rebuild my life the right way, but instead of being heard, I was given options in places where I knew no one, where I would be completely alone. Then I was moved again to a shelter that doesn't even offer domestic violence services. I did everything I was told to do. I followed every rule. I trusted the process. I believed I had housing. And I did find a place, and I spoke to the landlord, and for the first time in so long, I had hope. I thought my son was finally going to have a home, and then it was all taken away from me. I was told it was okay to leave the shelter and stay with my mom until moving because I wasn't okay mentally there. Then days later, I was told if I don't go back, I would lose everything. So I went back, and I was handed a letter saying I was denied housing because they didn't have all my information. How does a mother do everything right and still end up with nothing? I am tired of crying in silence, so my son doesn't see me fall apart. I am tired of the system that tells women to leave abuse, but doesn't protect them when they do. Because leaving wasn't the hardest part. This is. My son deserves a better home. He deserves stability, and I am doing everything I can, but I can't do this alone. Please don't just hear me, help me. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any further speakers? Any further speakers? We will now move on to our standing committee's agenda, and we do not have anything in our first committee, so we'll move to invoices. Is there a motion on invoices?
So second.
Discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor of invoices, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Invoices are approved. Is there a motion on P cards?
So moved. Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of P cards, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. P cards are approved. That takes us to the Public Safety and Wellness Committee chaired by Councilman Coghill.
Bill 252, resolution authorizing the mayor and the director of public safety to enter on behalf of the city of Pittsburgh into an agreement or agreements with North Star Leadership LLC for police supervisor development and training at a total cost not to exceed $20,000 over 1 year.
Motion to approve, brief discussion.
Second.
Okay, I see Commander Abraham and Baker are here. Would you join us and just explain what the program is, Commander? Any chair, man.
Sorry, this is my first
You're right. Oh, is that right? You want to join us too, Commander Baker? So thanks for the work you do. Just introduce yourselves and just tell us a little bit about what the program's about.
Yeah, good morning.
I think you might have a question.
My name is Jeff Abraham. I'm the commander of Zone 3. So in 2024, we went to Indianapolis, Indiana to see the Indianapolis Metro Police's Leadership Academy. The same instructors that have been doing their Leadership Academy there for the past 16 years are coming to Pittsburgh to teach our new supervisors and current supervisors different leadership techniques for them to be better suited for our department.
So they, you saw them train
Yes.
Indianapolis police officers, and you thought it'd be beneficial for Pittsburgh, and they're coming to Pittsburgh and going to help.
Yes, that's correct. We are actually in a leadership academy right now. This is the second one that we have sent through. They're currently here and doing it. So what part of their training is they teach real world scenarios that supervisors in the PBP go through on a day-to-day basis and give them better navigation on how to deal with those situations.
Understood. I don't really have any questions. If you feel it's beneficial, it's okay by me. So I just want to thank you both for your service, and thank you for always being responsive to me.
Yes, sir.
Zone 3.
Thank you.
Okay, that's it for me, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Councilman Mosley.
Yeah, I want to thank you both for being here. I'm just out of curiosity, what specifically is in this training program that really stuck out, and when it was observed in the past, made you feel like this is something we want to implement in the city of Pittsburgh?
Yeah, so when we did the sergeant's assessments in 2024, it was we bring in assessors from all over the country from different departments, from LAPD, Nashville, Prince George's County, anywhere that you could think of, major cities. And the biggest thing that they told us is that we have a leadership issue here. A gentleman from Indianapolis pulled me aside and said that we have this training that is very police specific. So the first week of our training is we go through leadership theories. We talk about doing the right thing by our officers. We talk about management, risk management. The second week is teaching to something that that Indianapolis calls the Q6. And it is pretty much a blueprint on, okay, you have high-performing police officers. How do you keep them motivated? How do you keep them going in the right direction? All the way down to your toxic employees. How do you get them on the right path? And then you go through 16 to 18 different scenarios throughout the week of dealing with an officer that has been in a going through cancer, that has an alcohol issue, that was the subject to a situation where they were in the media a lot. They go through all of these situations on how to deal with that with those officers. Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit more specific than some of the other leadership trainings that are out there that just simply teach leadership. This teaches it to a real world situation. Like me speaking on my experiences, all of the scenarios that I've gone through as a supervisor with the PPP.
And when they said there was a leadership issue, were there like things that they spoke to specifically that they thought were leadership issues within the department?
Yeah, so, and it's something that we see at the command level as well, is a lot of passing the buck. So you get a street supervisor that has a situation that they could deal with themselves. They instead pass it up to their lieutenant. Their lieutenant then passes up their commander, and so on and so forth. What this does is it teaches them to address the issues right then and there.
I believe that exhausts my questions. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing the information.
Thank you. Councilmember Warwick.
Yeah, so I just have a quick, it's not directly related to this, but since we're talking about training, and so what are your role? Can you remind me of your roles again?
I'm the commander of Zone 3.
Of Zone 3, and
I am the commander of special deployment.
okay, so neither of you are necessarily directly involved in the training.
I am, yes. So the Leadership Academy here was founded by myself and another lieutenant, Tony Cunningham.
Got it. Okay. So the thing that I want to ask about, just because we've, is the use of pepper spray. And you may not have answers, but you're here, so I'm going to ask. We saw recently in West Mifflin, obviously not Pittsburgh, right? We saw like a crowd of people, protesting like some traffic safety. You know what I mean? It was a misunderstanding that ended in pepper spray being used on little kids, young kids, right? Obviously there was the incident in downtown recently, Market Square, where I think there were like 20 kids. Now my understanding is some of the kids maybe had pepper spray, but then also the officers used pepper spray. I know for myself, when I think of pepper spray back when I was in my 20s, it was like this thing, some women would maybe have it on their keychain in case they were like attacked in the park or something like that. But it really was kind of like this, I don't know, it just seemed like something that was not being used all the time. And now, of course, and I mentioned this at another council meeting, with ICE going around, our federal officers going around just and you see it, right, video after video after video of literally pepper spraying people directly in the face, right? And it's, generally you recover from being sprayed with pepper, but sometimes you don't, right? It can actually cause permanent damage to the eyes. And so I wanted to ask, just with the use of pepper spray, what can you tell us? Because to me, it feels like something that we really should be not using unless we absolutely have to. And certainly on kids, I have 14-year-old, I have a kid's about to turn 14, and I would be very upset, even if things were chaotic and out of control, if they were pepper sprayed. And so I just wanted to ask about how we're using it and what the guidelines are, and can we dial it down a little with anyway, I'll let you respond.
So I don't have the year-to-date numbers of how many times that's present for you today, about how many times our officers have used pepper aerosol spray. What I can say is we have a general order governing its use that's published online for everyone to take a look at. We, a couple years ago, moved away from a brand that has a chemical compound that is less of a spray. It's more of an adherent. So it affects less of a crowd and more of the person that you were trying to, otherwise use it on. So like all force options, when our officers use force, our expectation is it is reasonable under the totality of the circumstances and is in compliance with our other policies and the laws of Pennsylvania. So to say, when you can, when you cannot, is generally governed by case law, policies in place, et cetera. Usually, like the instances you're talking about where people have been injured, there are guidelines, and we train our officers that they have to maintain a certain distance, before they can safely use it. There was a thing in the past where if you were too close and you deployed it, it would create a hydraulic needle. So that is a thing that we are aware of in the profession, and that we do train our officers to have the appropriate safe minimum distance before deploying it.
Oops, I'm just worried that we're sort of, it's becoming more, right, that I'm worried about it as a tool that's just sort of becoming like a quick go-to, you know? I don't know, 20, I mean, again, from the media reports, right, because that's all they have, there were 20 people treated after the Market Square incident for, you know, because of pepper spray in the eyes, presumably. That just seems like a lot of people, and that doesn't seem like precision. I know it was a chaotic situation.
I can't speak
yeah.
to that incident because I'm not the commander there. But we do not indiscriminately spray people. So if there was, from my recollection of that, I believe that there were people in the crowd that had pepper spray as well. So they're being treated for that. So what I can tell you for the South Side is a very, it's a safer tool to break up fights than it is for officers to go hands-on or to officers to deploy their tasers, which there's definitely a lot more injury that goes along with tasing people than there is of just pepper spraying people. It does give people to disperse rather quickly as opposed to going hands-on with them, causing injuries on both sides. So it is a very effective tool for us.
Okay. Well, anyway, it would be, you know, maybe it's a conversation too with Chief Lando I just have concerns because of the use of pepper spray that we've seen. I mean, I'm sure you've seen videos of ICE officers directly pepper spraying people in the face, and it's just sort of the more you see it, the more it becomes normalized, and that's the concern. It's that for our officers that, you know, that is maintained, that you know, just because you're seeing this done, like, you know, out in the world by other law enforcement agencies, like, you know, these are the rules around using it here in Pittsburgh, if that could just be reiterated.
Yeah,
Sure.
I mean, we
Yeah.
train to a standard here. We have a very high standard for when we use force, and all of our officers are trained in any of the tools on their belt and how to use them and when to use them. And I mean, speaking from the Zone 3 side of it, I have not seen, maybe outside of maybe one or two outliers, that pepper spray was used appropriately in that situation.
Generally, over the past few years, I know that we have seen as a training note, usually that's one of the least employed tools on our officers' belts, speaking only for Pittsburgh, for the reasons you kind of, you know, touched upon, which is that, you know, especially with the older formulas, if you were to spray, you know, I'm sure Jeff's been in the same situation. I've probably been maced by more police than whoever was supposed to be, right? So that's usually what happens is, you know, the chemical gets deployed and then everyone is infected, right, to some varying levels of degree. So usually it tended to be one of our fewest deployed force options.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to bring it up and ask, so that's all. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you. Councilperson Charlin.
Yes. So back to the leadership, the program we're working here. You said supervisors. Are we saying sergeants and lieutenants? Do commanders go through that?
No. The commanders go to. It's all elective that they can go to any training they want. I'd be more than willing to train our command staff as well in this put them through this leadership academy.
Have you seen, you know, a marked difference between folks that have been through the academy and not? Am I using that right? Academy?
Yeah, PVP Leadership Academy.
The Leadership Academy, yeah.
We have. So the first class we put through was 15. This class is 24, and we're also training county police as well as Duquesne University as well, putting them through this class as well. So we have seen it. You know, we have, 200 supervisors in our department. So we've put through a very small fraction of our supervisors through this training. It's going to take a while to rebuild that culture of what we're looking for in leadership here. So if we stop doing this now, that's just going to put us back behind again. We need to keep building and keep putting people through. Our intentions are to put another class on sometime in summer as well.
Are the I'm using this word loosely, but the officers, are they appreciative of going through the academy? Do they see it as beneficial to them?
Yeah, we have had pretty good feedback. This last one, we got 4.2 stars out of 5 through just our, what do you call those? The surveys,
customer satisfaction surveys.
Yeah, so we got 4.2 stars out of 5. So
okay.
If there was a restaurant, I'd go to it.
Good. And, it is something that we've always heard of is, we have the problems with recruitment. We also have the problems with leadership and kind of the clusters that have happened. So my hope is that this is a tool that we can use to help rebuild that bench of when you guys eventually do move on, who comes up next.
Yeah, and to your point, through research for this academy, it's found that pay is maybe 3 on the list of why people leave police departments, and typically number 1 is the people that they work for. So we're trying to strengthen that, and it's also a good retention tool as well, and it gives a pathway. So Eric and I came through the ranks. We never had any sort of training like this. We had a 2-week training at our academy, which was well done, but it was too short, and it didn't give you real life scenarios that this is giving you. So I think it would be also a very beneficial tool for us for retention as well.
Great. Well, you're a heck of a leader, so I'm sure the officers appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Further discussion? Second round, Councilman Coghill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just real quick, you had mentioned Duquesne and county.
Allegheny County
Allegheny
Police.
County.
Yes.
Is it free to them, or is
it is free to them.
Okay.
Yes.
Where do you do the training at? Is it facility?
The training is done. Eric was kind enough to give us the SDD building for us to conduct our training there.
STD.
Yes.
The steam fitters building.
Steam fitters
Oh,
building.
the steam fitters building. Okay, yeah, right. I helped broker that deal. That's good. Yeah, it's good space.
It's great space.
As long as it doesn't flood, but yeah. Okay, that's all for me. Thanks.
Thank you. Any further discussion? My only question is, I see a waiver of competitive process. Why was there not a competitive process for the bid?
This is a very unique training that they're the only people that actually teach. It's called the Q6. They're one of the only people in the country that teach that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Further discussion, Councilwoman Gross.
Thank you. I didn't have any questions, but I did just catch the part that we are being asked to pay. Maybe I just want to make sure I didn't mishear. Are we paying for the county police to get training? Are you asking us to pay for the county police to get training?
No.
You said it was free for, is it free for us and free for county police?
They are, I would make the assumption that they're being paid by the county to attend our training. We are just offering them the training to come to.
How much does it cost? So we're training, it's in-house. But how much does it cost in our time and payroll and space and all that kind of stuff? And then how many, is it one county police person?
There's 5 there.
There's 5, and then it's a room of how many people?
24.
Okay. I just, we're always very sensitive about largesse when it comes to the county, right? A lot of times we feel like they should be paying, we should be getting more services in the city than we do, and we don't want the county to pretend that somehow inside the city of Pittsburgh is not also inside Allegheny County, right? And so we're always very sensitive that, we're sometimes feel like we're covering costs that the county should be covering. So we don't need to act like we have a bigger budget than they have a much bigger budget than we have.
So we're in the infancy of this. This has only been our second leadership academy. Indianapolis has a fund set up, and they teach not only Indianapolis metro folks, but they also teach local suburbs. Their state police comes to this. Indiana University comes to this. But they have a fund set up where each person pays to get into it. We are trying to build the brand first before we can start making it become profitable for the city. But that is a thought process that we do have.
Okay.
We just are not there yet. So we're trying to get the word out, I guess, and to kind of preach how great this is, to kind of get people to want to come to this, and then get to a certain point where we could make it profitable for the department and for the city.
That's good news. That's good news. I mean, at this, we wish that, like, swimming pool tags were cheaper, and, shelter rentals in the parks were cheaper, and, we're here, we feel like we're nickel and diming our residents sometimes, and too much. So, I'm happy to support today, but I would look forward to the other municipalities and certainly the county covering their own costs. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Bill 252, please say aye.
Aye.
Affirmative recommendation. Thank you both very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Bill 253.
Resolution authorizing the Citizens Police Review Board to enter into an agreement or contracts with attorney Alec B. Wright of O'Brien, Coleman and Wright, LLC, for professional services to assist in the legal representation of the Citizens Police Review Board for a period of 3 years. Said agreement or contract shall not exceed $45,000 per year for 2026, 2027, and 2028, subject to the annual allocation by City Council.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion?
Discussion.
Council President.
Actually, I have the same question that you had for the previous one. Why was there a waiver of competitive process for a lawyer?
Interrogatory? Yeah.
Okay, I did. I see Ms. Pittinger's on the online too, but from what I understand, this was the same attorney that they've been using, and they just wanted to extend the contract because they're happy with his services, and so this was just an extension, I guess. It wasn't out to bid necessarily, but Ms. Pittinger's online if you want to join.
I am, thank you. If you have any questions, councilors, that's why I'm here. As background, you're probably all aware that the board is authorized to hire its own solicitor, and they have hired their own solicitor since 1998. This is a continuation of that tradition. The contract under which Mr. Wright was serving as solicitor expired at the end of December, and the board has chosen to continue with Mr. Wright as their solicitor. And as a result, we needed a new contract. It's not something that they were comfortable with, nor would, I can't imagine anybody would be comfortable if you're going out to bid for your legal services when you're comfortable with the lawyer that you have. So that's essentially the background.
Thank you.
And from what I understand, it's paid out of CPRB's budget, so it's not new monies here. Yeah.
And that amount has not changed since 1999, nor will it change in the foreseeable future.
Thank you. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Bill 253, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Affirmative recommendation. Thank you, Ms.
Thank you all.
Thank you. That moves us to Public Works and Infrastructure Committee, chaired by Councilwoman Salanetro.
Bill 258, resolution authorizing the mayor and the director of the Department of Mobility and Infrastructure on behalf of the city of Pittsburgh to enter into a supplemental agreement or agreements with CDR McGuire, Inc. for project design management services and reviews in connection with various City of Pittsburgh projects to add funding for the preliminary engineering phase, increasing the total not to exceed amount to $3,900,463.19, an increase of $121,861.99, reimbursable at various rates.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Bill 258, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Affirmative recommendation, Bill 259.
Resolution authorizing the mayor and the director of the Department of Mobility and Infrastructure on behalf of the city of Pittsburgh to enter into a supplemental agreement or agreements with Trans Associates Engineering Consultants, Inc. for services during construction for the Penn Avenue Phase 2 reconstruction project at a cost thereof not to exceed $1,743,305.56, an increase of $178,939.11 from the previously executed agreement, reimbursable at 80%.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Bill 259, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Affirmative recommendation. Bill 260.
Resolution authorizing the taking, appropriating, and condemning by the City of Pittsburgh of certain easements necessary for the completion of repair and support of Andover Terrace in the Fifth Ward for public transportation purposes through eminent domain, and further authorizing the payment of just compensation and necessary and incidental acquisition costs related thereto, and an amount not to exceed $35,000.
Motion to approve. Discussion.
Second.
Second, with discussion, Councilwoman Salinetro.
Is there somebody here that can speak to this?
Hello, Eric Setchler, Chief Engineer with Delmy.
Can you just give us a little bit of background as to why we're taking, appropriating, and condemning this property? Just give me a little background on it.
Sure. This landslide happened several years ago.
Okay.
And we've done some temporary remediation work, but we are still trying to work on a permanent fix. Basically, a retaining wall adjacent to Andover Terrace failed, went down the slope, took out the road. Below that, there are several houses down below that that were impacted in their backyards. We've been working with the various property owners over the course of the project. We have secured some temporary easements for some of the phases that we've already completed to be on their property. With two of the property owners, we just had trouble for this next phase. We tried to negotiate some easements, and we just came to an impasse, unfortunately. We're using eminent domain taking to take a temporary access easement to allow us to be in their backyard for design purposes, and then there will be a permanent easement. The retaining wall will be in the Andover Terrace right-of-way, but we're asking for or taking about a 10-foot wide easement just in the future to allow us to get down there and maintain the wall. So we're not actually taking property and converting it to right-of-way. We're taking easements from the property.
And who are we paying the $35,000 to?
To the two property owners.
Two property owners.
Yeah, and that's based on what's the word I'm looking for? We had to get evaluations for the value of the easements. Appraisal, there you go.
That's all for me.
Thank you. Further discussion? Councilwoman Gross.
Thank you, and I apologize in advance because I rarely do this, but I am going to have to say that we need to follow up on the giant retaining wall between El Paso and Duffield that is still redirecting water to the neighboring homes that are outside of the footprint of the retaining wall. And a kind of note to my colleagues: when if you have a giant retaining wall holding up a landslide, that it doesn't mean that the people at the bottom of the elevation are never going to have, it won't necessarily solve their water issues, right? So I know we've been following up with Tomei repeatedly, so I'm going to have to just say, I just needed to say on the record, this has been going on now for more than a year, and these people really need recourse. Their own infrastructure is collapsing in their own backyards. So we need a solution for the water that's coming down off of the elevation from between Stanton Heights and Morningside.
Yeah, I'm aware of the situation, of course, and we are looking into it some more and trying to figure out what we can do.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I'll be following up very soon. Thank you, Madam Chair. I apologize.
Thank you. Any further discussion? I have to ask, were you part of the project that won the Geotechnical Project of the Year from the Engineer Society?
I was, yes.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
You saw the press release. It's very exciting. It's like a huge team of people that were part of the Mount Washington landslide project. So.
It was a large team that helped get the work done, and we were able to do a lot of good work around Mount Washington in Councilwoman Selenetra's district for the most part, I think, and you can see it. It looks good, I think.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Now on to the next landslide.
That's right.
As we're speaking about it. So, okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of Bill 260, please say aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
One abstention, so noted. Affirmative recommendation. Thank you very much. Bill 261.
Ordinance amending Ordinance 223 of 1911 in order to grant the city's Department of Mobility and Infrastructure limited authority to permit installation of overhead wires or poles on certain portions of Kinsman Road and on Worth Street located in the 14th Ward, City of Pittsburgh.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Discussion? I'd like to ask for one person to make a voice amendment just to change the spelling of Kinsman to M-A-N, just for our records. Can
Motion
someone
to
make that motion?
amend?
Second.
Second.
Madam Clerk, will you change the spelling of Kinsman Road to Kinsman?
Yes.
Thank you. All in favor of the voice amendment, please say aye. Aye. Bill has been amended. Any further discussion on the bill? Seeing none, all those in favor of Bill 261, please say aye. Aye. Affirmative recommendation. Thank you very much. Bill 262.
Resolution providing for the issuance of a warrant in favor of the Melee Landscape Contractors, Inc. in an amount of $109,847.58 for the purpose of emergency snow removal at various locations and providing for the payment of the cost thereof over 1 year.
Motion to approve?
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Bill 262, please say aye. Aye. Affirmative recommendation. That moves us to Human Resources Committee, chaired by Councilperson Charlin.
Bill 250, resolution authorizing the mayor and the director of the Office of Municipal Investigations to enter into a software maintenance agreement or agreements with Versaterm to extend the current agreement for OMI's electronic case management system, IA Pro, for a period of 3 years at an amount not to exceed $23,413.48.
Motion to approve.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Bill 250, please say aye.
Aye.
Affirmative recommendation. Bill 251.
Resolution providing for a professional service agreement or agreements with Fair Housing Partnership of Greater Pittsburgh to provide fair housing testing, housing analysis, and technical assistance to the Commission on Human Relations at a cost not to exceed $30,000 over 1 year.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Bill 251, please say aye.
Aye.
Affirmative recommendation. That moves us to Recreation, Youth, and Senior Services Committee, chaired by Council Member Warwick.
Bill 268, resolution providing for the designation and transfer of certain public properties within the Upper Lawrenceville neighborhood to become permanent public passive open space included in the Allegheny River Greenway as part of the Greenways for the Pittsburgh program.
Motion to approve?
Second. May I?
Sure.
Sure. Thank you. Council members will recall that I think it was 2 years ago, we also moved some properties that were a little farther upriver into greenways. And generally, these are very, very steep sloped zone hillside. And for many years, everyone assumed they actually were already greenways. So I want to give a shout out to our real estate department and Director Gula for helping us comb through these parcels and making sure that they do become permanent city ownership. So thank you for, I hope that you will support it.
Thank you. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Bill 268, please say aye.
Aye.
Affirmative recommendation. That moves us to Intergovernmental and Educational Affairs Committee, chaired by Councilman Mosley.
Bill 274, resolution amending resolution number 352 of 2025, which authorized a professional service agreement and/or contract with Buchanan, Ingersoll, and Rooney, P.C. for consulting services for federal government affairs and legislative services by extending the term through the second quarter of 2026 and increasing the approved amount by $15,500 for a new total cost not to exceed $589,000 over 10 years.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Bill 274, please say aye. Aye. Affirmative recommendation. Bill 275.
Resolution amending Resolution 353 of 2025, which authorized a professional service agreement and/or contract with Milady and Wooten, Inc. for consulting services for state government affairs and legislative services by extending the term through the second quarter of 2026 and increasing the approved amount by $16,500 for a new total cost not to exceed $627,000 over 10 years and 3 months.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Bill 275, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Affirmative recommendation. Bill 290.
Resolution authorizing the Director of the Department of Public Safety to enter into intergovernmental cooperation agreements between the City of Pittsburgh and various government agencies and municipalities for the purpose of cooperative police and public service during the 2026 National Football League Draft.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion?
Discussion?
Councilperson Charlin.
Yes, I would like to make a motion to amend. Members should have the amendment on the in front of them in yellow there. This adds language to this bill that came over late to us yesterday to make sure that none of the municipalities that will be here for their assistance with the draft, that they making sure that none of them can partake in immigration enforcement activities while they're here. So that's it's not a huge amendment on the bill, but I think it's significant, means a lot, and hopefully can calm an understanding of why they're here and what they're doing here. And I believe we have some guests to talk about this as well.
We have a motion. We did a second.
Second.
Discussion.
Yeah, and I also just wanted to acknowledge that this was an amendment sponsored by Councilwoman Strasburger and myself. Councilman Mosley did ask to be included with the amendment as well, if that can be updated.
Thank you.
Would you guys like to join us?
Please introduce yourselves and
Commander Baker, we just met.
Morning, Council. My name is Matt Singer. I work as Deputy Chief of Staff to Mayor O'Connor.
And Chief Singer, I want to acknowledge this is your first time at the table.
It is. First in a long time.
Want to thank you for being here. Can you tell us a little bit about what is planned here with this cooperative agreement with the other municipalities and agencies?
Yes, sir. So as you can imagine, the NFL draft is a massive event, and we rely, as with most events, we rely very heavily on our law enforcement partners, the county, the state, et cetera. In this instance, there is a resourcing issue that even our partners cannot meet, specifically in the area of explosive detection canines. So this is a massive operation to first secure the footprint of the draft and then sanitize it or otherwise sweep it for explosives. After that, as the draft unfolds over 3 days, once it's secure, there are entrances for vehicles, things that may be pedestrian entrances, things that need to be constantly monitored, vehicles specifically for the dogs. So what this is doing is this is giving some of our partner agencies who we wouldn't otherwise work with for large-scale events the ability to come into the city and loan their explosive detection dogs to us so that we can cover the entry points and exit points for the vehicles of the draft.
How many dogs are we talking?
Probably that's a little bit more technical than I can give you an answer for, but I can tell you that at last check, we were somewhere around needing 60 to 70 dogs.
Wow.
60 to 70, maybe as close to 90. So, depending on how we broke out the shifts.
Chief Singer, one of the things that happened with this legislation was that it did come over late to us yesterday. Can you talk a little bit about why that happened and try to calm some, understanding of what happened there?
Yeah, so generally the administration has until about a midday deadline on Friday to transmit legislation that it wants to appear on the agenda to the city clerk's office. There are certain times where, just because of ongoing business, ongoing work, that legislation isn't always completed in time. And once we miss that deadline, in order for something to get on the agenda, we need to work with a council member or multiple council members and ask them if they're willing to introduce that to us. Typically, we're usually fine just waiting until the next week, but there are times when things are time sensitive and we want to get it done. That might be if it's something where we had planned to request a waiver of Rule 8, or if there's a term of a director that may be close to expiring. I've worked with several members at the table here since January in instances like that. We generally do like to avoid instances in which we miss that deadline. I hate to make a headache for the city clerk's office when that happens, but that's what happened here. Our Department of Law was working with leadership in the Department of Public Safety and the Bureau of Police, and we were not able to get the final list of all of the partner agencies, municipalities, until Monday. In that case, we had approached Councilmember, in this case, Councilperson Strasburger, and asked for it to be introduced. We had transmitted that to the clerk's office. When it didn't appear on the printed agenda, I had noticed it, and I had printed a physical copy and brought it to the council member. When council presents new bills, they have to give that physical copy of the paper to the clerk's office so they can read the title of the bill and assign it a bill number. That's what happened in this instance.
So there wasn't anything nefarious. We're not trying to pull the wool over anyone. It was just a clerical timing issue.
Yeah, I mean, things like that happen. I do apologize if the optics created any worries or any headaches for council members or members of the public. In this instance, the time-sensitive nature of it is that with the draft quickly approaching, we wanted the authorization to begin writing these MOUs to be cleared as soon as possible so we can have everything finished and with a bow on it with enough wiggle room and comfort time before the draft itself starts.
And Commander Baker, so from your understanding here, these cooperating agencies, all we're asking for them is these are for their canines, correct?
Yes. So they're dogs, just to use an explosive detection.
Yeah. So we're not asking for them to come in and do patrols.
No.
They're not doing traffic enforcement. We're asking
Yes,
for the
they'll be
dogs.
within the footprint. They'll be credentialed. We'll know who they are. No one can come into the footprint, even if you're law enforcement, unless you are credentialed. So there's no possibility of some pop-up, who knows what, happening. So we're just using them to check vehicles as they come in and out.
Will the dogs have credentials?
The dogs will have credentials. They'll have their rabies shots.
Will they have tags?
Yeah, I think so. we could probably figure something.
I think that could be. I'd like to see a picture of that. Okay, that's my questions here on the motion to amend.
Further discussion, Councilwoman Gross and then Councilman Mosley.
Yeah. Thank you. So we all appreciate that we want things to go smoothly for and safety of the public in the NFL draft, and that everybody's working really hard to make sure that happens. And I appreciate my colleagues. We chatted about this yesterday after it was introduced, and so I appreciate that everybody kind of came together to put this amendment on the table. I also had my staff kind of put together some thoughts, and we maybe have caught some things differently. There is, I think, a debate on to whether to best put the amendment in an attachment or an Exhibit A. Typically, I put it in the actual actionable language, because it's supposed to be the actionable part. So that would mean it would be in like Section 2. So, be it resolved that the council of the city of Pittsburgh as follows. There's Section 1, Section 2. And an example that I think all my colleagues will remember is that we had extensive amendments that were unanimously supported for the Veterans Administration site. We had lengthy conditions that we put into the heart of the bill, the HDR contract for the VA site. I think we all voted in support of that. And so, there were attachments to that legislation, but we didn't put legislative language in attachments. We put the legislative language just like we added a section 2 and a section 3. So it would be, I would prefer that the language be moved to section 2 probably here. Because if we leave it in the attachment A, I'm less comfortable that that is actually binding legislative language if it's like at the bottom of a list of municipalities. And then secondly, section 1 says that we're authorizing agreements including but not limited to this list. So if we put the condition at the bottom of the list, there could be another list. I'm not saying that's your intent, but that's what we're allowing there to be. So, we're just leaving like a giant door to walk through. And then also I would prefer that there be, if these are like short-term agreements, right? They're meant to be like for a week or something, maybe like a little before and a little after, probably?
No, this MOU will cover the dates of the draft.
Okay, so we could just say that, again, the part the public sees is like city council just giving the police the permission to do like whatever they want is not, what the public wants to see. So that would be an easy thing to put in here as well. And if we don't know the exact dates right now, we could put them in by Tuesday or something like that. And that wouldn't slow you down or anything like that. Because this isn't final until this coming Tuesday, right?
Correct.
Right.
However, the language does say provision during the draft.
Fair enough. But, so it's no harm, no foul. So just
Correct.
put some dates in. Good. And so, those would be my 2 suggestions. I mean, I don't know if the sponsors want to keep the legislative language at the bottom of the list, then it would be easy to maybe strike out the including but not limited to, if you know that this is your final list. I think that wouldn't be any harm. If you think you're going to add municipalities, then I think we should add the binding language to before the list. And then you would still have permission to like add, a municipality that is not here. I do appreciate that my colleagues have included the language that it is not to undertake immigration enforcement because according to our quick eyeballing it in the last not even 24 hours, Beaver County, Washington County, and Center Township Police do have 287G agreements with the federal government on record that we were able to find. So 3 of the people on this, 3 of the municipalities on the list do actively collaborate officially with immigration enforcement that we were able to find. So I appreciate that language is there. So again, I'm willing to, if you want to leave it where it is, I would ask for a verbal amendment to just do the strikeout of the including but not limited to. If the administration thinks that there might be other municipalities they want to add, then I would suggest we could leave that there, but move the binding language to before the list into the section. So I don't know, if members have a preference.
Yeah, let's hear from some other members, and we can discuss this. So I know that this might not be the exact topic of conversation that you were commenting on, Councilman Mosley, but you're next.
Oh, yeah, it's not. I just had a question, and I know sometimes there's highly sensitive, strategic information that you don't want to share and kind of give the playbook, to millions of people. But technically, under whose jurisdiction would these entities be operating under the direction of over the draft?
So they would be operating under our unified command here in the Bureau.
Okay. That's my only question.
Thank you. Further discussion? Councilmember Warwick.
Could we, just again, not before Tuesday, can we add, is it really just for like the bomb sniffing dogs, period?
Yes.
Can we put that in? I think that would be, in addition, just to ease people's mind, because that makes total sense, right? We don't want anything awful to happen at the draft. Just to clarify that it is specifically for whatever the technical term is. Yeah, thanks.
Further discussion, Councilman Coghill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Have all the other agencies on that list agreed to share their canines?
Yes.
They have?
They have. That's how we got the list. Yeah, our K9 unit reached out and
Yeah, who coordinates that? Your K9 team?
yes, the K9 sergeant.
Because I got a call from one of those agencies,
Mhm.
and they were like clueless as to they thought it was first of all manpower,
Mhm.
And I'm just learning now it's just K9.
Mhm.
But I just wanted to make sure that all those other agencies were contacted and agreed to it before we vote on it, right?
Well, I mean, if there's a communication issue, if you share that information with me, I'm happy to reach out to them.
Yeah,
and
we'll
clear
do that
up.
offline. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion? Councilwoman Salanetro.
I just ask, what is the cost of this? What is this costing the city?
The draft or?
No, the work, the dogs.
So there is no cost recovery here, so this is why it's been difficult to find some partners, is there is no cost recovery for these agencies, so it's kind of who can give us what and how long.
So they're giving it to you for free?
Well, us for free, yes, in kind.
Further discussion? Is there a second round question? Okay, so my question to Chief Singer is, if there's any major problems that you see from your vantage point, we're the legislative body, but I do want to, check to see if there's anything functionally that would change if we were to move the language. Can you respond to that?
Generally, no. I would just note that exhibits are just as much part of the legislative record as the rest of the authorization. Similar to, say, a zoning bill, where if you are amending the zoning map, the map itself does not appear in the Code of Ordinances, but as an attachment, it is as an exhibit, it's an integral part of that legislation nevertheless.
Mhm.
But beyond that, it's up to council's prerogative.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we had a suggestion for a voice amendment to move the amended language to section 2 of the body of that. Would someone like to make that motion?
Sure. Motion to amend. Is that how we do it? We didn't vote on this amendment. So do we have to, we don't really motion to amend this amendment. I'm actually not sure how to technically do that.
So we're on, we're on the discussion of the amendment.
Of the amendment, yeah.
So you could make a friendly amendment to the amendment.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's got to be friendly, though.
We'll make the friendly motion.
In the spirit of friendliness, I motion to move the underlined language, none of the cooperating agencies, blah, 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 under an intergovernmental cooperation agreement authorized by its resolution to be section 2 of Bill 2026-0290.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion on the friendly amendment. Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The amendment is still up for discussion. Any further discussion on the amendment as amended?
Oh,
Councilmember Warwick.
well, not on the, so would you guys mind putting in the language about the dog? I don't want to do it voice. I want it to be correct. I mean, like,
You can do it for
precise.
Tuesday.
Yeah, is that all right? You comfortable with that? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion? Councilman Coghill.
Councilwoman Warwick brings up a question. So we're using their canines, but not their personnel?
Well, the dog would have a handler.
Okay,
Right.
so we are using their personnel then. I mean, it's in kind, and we're not paying for it, but
Right.
we will be using their officers their partners probably, I guess you should say, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Sorry if that was
No,
not clear.
that's
Yeah,
okay.
every dog
when
has
you
a
say just
handler.
canines, I'm like, well.
Canine officers,
Yeah,
I should say.
canine officers. Okay, gotcha. So with each
Scooby-Doo.
dog or canine is a handler.
Yes, sir.
One handler? Just one handler per?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. All those in favor, seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of the amendment to Bill 290, please say aye.
Aye.
Bill is amended. Further discussion on the bill as amended. Seeing none, all those in favor of Bill 290 as amended, please say aye.
Aye.
Affirmative recommendation. Thank you both very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, council members.
That moves us to new papers, Bill 254.
Authorize the mayor and the director of the office of mayor's budget to enter into an agreement or agreements with the early government of Pittsburgh personnel deliverable and increasing the total not to exceed amount by $157,157.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah, sorry.
Councilperson Charlin.
Yeah. Someone from, Catherine, are you here for this? Or is it Sally? Okay. Good. And I think I know what's going on here, but can you introduce yourselves and explain what we're looking at here?
Catherine Murray, Director of Government Affairs at the URA. Great to see you all.
Sally Stadelman, Director of the Pittsburgh Land Bank.
We're looking at PAYGO funds that were already previously approved, and we are looking at our co-op, and there was just some adjustments that were made to include land bank personnel. Do you want to expand on that?
Yes, Councilman Wilson identified this funding about 2 years ago. This was introduced in 2024 to cover our staffing costs. Luckily, our ARPA funding has lasted us up until 2026, so we're expecting to spend the remaining of that money by the end of the summer. So this will allow us to cover additional staffing or our staffing costs this year.
Cool. And this is previous money that we're just bringing forward, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. ARPA funds, it made more sense to make sure we spent down those ARPA funds first. And it just makes for a cleaner balance sheet when we take the funds in the year that we would like to spend them.
Great. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. Councilman Wilson.
All right. Well, thanks for coming to the table. Thanks for all the great work. And just, so these funds are the ones that we allocated, the council allocated. There was an amendment that we walked through in 25. No, this is in 24 for the 25 budget.
Yeah. Yes, I guess late 24.
And that was to fund 2 positions.
Yes, this covers about a position and a half.
Position and a half. Why is it if we budgeted for 2 that?
It covers, so this is projected to cover somewhere between 37 and 50% of our staffing costs. That includes the 3.
Oh, we're just going to put this all into the staffing.
Right.
So it's not, okay, because the initial calculations were for the calculation for 2 positions. And so this is just going to go into the overall bucket of staff.
Right. It almost 2 positions, yeah.
And so what percentage of the staffing budget will be covered by these funds?
So it'll be somewhere between 37 and 50%. And the reason that's a range is that will cover, of course, our 3 existing staff members, the staffing fee for services that we pay to the Urban Redevelopment Authority, and we have a 4th position budgeted. That position hasn't been posted or hired yet, so depending on when that person starts this year, that's why we have that sliding range of what it will cover.
And what would that person do?
That position is call them a real estate development manager. There's 2 such positions at the Tricog Land Bank. As we've been moving along, we're acquiring more structures than land. When we first started, it was largely land. So now we really need that expertise in-house to do our structural review, to bid out our stabilization work, to create our work plans for when we list those properties for sale. I really reached my maximum capacity of time to be able to be out walking through structures, meeting contractors. You know, we require 3 bids for every all of the work that we do. So there's really a lot of detail and care and expertise that goes into that property management, and that's what this person would be covering.
Okay. So for this, these funds and other funds, like how much revenue, like how much are we getting for how much bang for buck are we getting? Like how much revenue will the PLB staff generate?
Yeah, that's a good question. So in 2025, the Pittsburgh Land Bank generated about $680,000 worth of revenue. Between 2024 and 2025, we've paid the city of Pittsburgh over $400,000 to purchase property. So that goes into the 3 taxing bodies, trust fund. And then this year, I mean, again, dependent on staff capacity, we are projected to make about $800,000 of revenue from our property sales.
Wait, just this year alone, we would?
Yes, $816,000. And that's largely based on the inventory that we already have that we expect to sell this year.
And just for review, because, you know, budget is front and center here since we'll be reviewing the budget again. The land bank does get revenue from those sales on the tax, 50%. That's the 3 tax and bond agreement that was agreed upon that we all voted on here. So then so you're saying this year approximately 400,000 will go back into.
Yes, I think we've got another 250,000 that we'll spend to purchase property from the city. And regarding the tax recapture, so we capture 50% of taxes generated on any property that we sell for 5 years after we sell it. That number, I think this year will be about $20,000 in revenue for us. So not
So how's the
particularly
800,000 calculated then for this year?
in sales, in the property that we will sell.
So that's not even
especially
including
through-
the tax revenue.
Right. That's actually a pretty small portion. I think especially we continue largely with single-family home sales, that won't necessarily be a sustainable. I mean, every dollar makes a difference, but I wouldn't think of that as a sustainable revenue source to keep our doors open.
Yeah. Okay, so getting a little off topic here, but I just want to ask this general question. So as the time goes on, you see that the city doesn't have, we're continuing to see our revenue drop in certain areas, especially in like downtown, property values, just the stagnant growth of housing in different parts of the city. How much of a partner do you think the land bank could be in generating revenue for the city's coffers so that we can provide services across the city?
Yeah, I would say that you'd certainly have to think of it as a little bit more of a long-term source of revenue generation, right?
But we're in a long-term situation here. We're looking at 11% in 5 years. What was sent over by the administration, 11% in the rainy day bucket for any emergency that could happen. I mean, I doubt we would do as well surviving a pandemic at that point, at the 5-year point. So with 11%, so we're really, I think I'm interested in a 10-year plan. So how does the land bank fit into that 10-year plan of increasing revenue for the city?
So we've got about 5,000 parcels in the existing 3 taxing bodies inventory. I want to say about 7,000 structures, tax delinquent structures that are eligible for tax foreclosure, and additional parcels. Because we haven't been foreclosing at scale in many years, there's a lot of vacant structures, right? There's about 2,000 properties on the condemnation list. At least a third, a half, maybe more of those structures, they don't need to be demolished. But they are holding neighborhoods back from stabilizing. And so if you think about a kind of a block-by-block approach to help kind of stabilize whole communities, where you can allow the housing market to then function normally, when you can get, I think a lot of neighborhoods, you could reach a point where you've got a lot of naturally occurring structures that are selling for $180 to $220, and those neighborhoods are kind of locked up because of the inability to turn over that blighted property into the hands of buyers that could fix them up and get them back on the market. So if we were to operate at scale and kind of move community by community to help stabilize and get those properties back on the tax rolls, you would be saving millions of dollars in demolition funds over time, because we would be working from the opposite end of the condemnation list to try and pull properties off of the condemnation list. When you tear a property down in most of our neighborhoods, that property can't be rebuilt because the property values aren't there. And so you've lost the taxable value. I think that takes away almost 60% of the taxable value when you tear that structure down. And so then multiply that by, 5,000 structures across the city. I think that's where we can kind of make an impact. And then you're saving, so you're generating tax revenue, and you're also saving a lot of city staff time, because we spend a lot of city staff time babysitting condemned structures. They generate litter, blight, they bring down property values, et cetera.
Yeah, thanks. My last question, because I know we're getting more into some, just basically general questions about the land bank. I'm getting away from the 150 that we're transferring here. Yeah, 157. We have a residential rehab program pilot happening, and even though we look at these structures and we're trying to get them back in the tax rolls, like, are people even interested? Like, we keep talking about growth, but look, do we have people that are actually buying the properties that we're, maybe patching the roof, and the rest is completely vacant, and they would have to fix it up, or they have to hire a contractor? Like, is that working out?
Yes.
Because that's a general question. We all talk about growth, but is growth even possible? Like, are you seeing that people are interested in coming to Pittsburgh?
Oh, yes. We've made
current residents,
Yeah, and it is, right, it's pilot phase. We have, I think, 37 structures in the pipeline right now, but we've listed and sold 5. We have 2 under contract that are closing this month, and then we have 10 properties freshly listed, 5 of which are in Elliott, and soon to be 12. And we're getting a lot of interest, and I would say anecdotally, every time I talk to a contractor or developer, they're very interested in being able to efficiently acquire single-family homes. I think the special part about our program is that our buyers must walk through the property. We've cleaned that property out so they can see what's going on. And then we can close in as little as 30 days on those structures that we have listed for sale. So it looks just like a regular private market sale, except we're not selling to the highest bidder, we're selling to the highest quality applicant.
Okay. All right. So thanks. So it's not a, wild thought to think that we could, continue down a growth path if we invested in the land bank, because, I'm putting 2 together here. This council's always been a partner, and, here's dollars going to the land bank that we already allocated, but I just want to highlight, these dollars, and I know that you love talking about every dollar invested in a land bank, you get back like 10.
I think that is a
true?
different land bank. I haven't run those calculations, but I certainly.
In terms of people living in the structure, working in the environment, working in the, in the city or outside the city, there's, different revenue, even on top of that could be realized.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Even like,
yeah.
Trickle down from RAD. Let's just say people spend time in their neighborhood, and dollars go back to even the county that come back to us, and it's a whole economy that happens when we bring back these structures and sell off this vacant property. So thank you.
Thanks, Councilman.
Thank you. Councilwoman Gross.
Thank you, appreciate it. And again, we don't need to talk about everything land bank, since it is only an additional 157,000. But I did want to acknowledge that I've been getting this question a lot recently. And I want to say maybe I haven't answered it as well as I might have, and this reminds me to kind of like correct the way I've been describing it to people, because and I'm talking like on the street corner and random phone calls I'm having, and like constituents are like, oh, the city has thousands of homes that are falling apart. And I've said that's technically not correct, because we have about 10,000 parcels that have no structures, that have the city of Pittsburgh's name on the deed. But that some of them we've had for 40 years, and we haven't been, as you described, taking more. But that we should have been is, I think, the point that I should have further made. Right, and that you have said before at the table, but reminded us again today, that they're either they're delinquent, or all the way so far gone that they're condemned. And so I just want you to correct me further. So like how many of each do you think are ones that, given that we don't want it, we're not talking about taking grandma's house, right? Because we've had that discussion in years past, right? Like if your elderly neighbor is a little bit behind on her taxes, we're not going to come in and grab her house out from under her. But those houses that people are sad, rightfully so, or upset that we're allowing to just fall down around us, let alone cause the blight and the problems or rodents or whatever it is in neighborhoods for people. Like, tell us about those. Just, again, a little bit more.
Yes. So, talking about the condemnation list specifically.
Okay.
So I think to start, what's important to know about condemnation is that a house can be condemned simply for not having running water. You have a $1 million mansion, there's no water, it's technically condemnable. So we know that there's a significant portion of those properties that don't need to be demolished. They will be demolished. We will all pay to have them demolished.
And it's about $100,000 a pop at this rate? I mean, how much are we paying? $75,000?
It's a big range. I think a single family home on a flat parcel is probably more like 30.
Okay.
But once you calculate in, if it's a double party wall, then it does get closer to $100,000, especially if it's a small one. You've got to send in people to tear that property down by hand.
Say like average 50, just for easy math.
I think
that's dumb.
That might be a safe.
We don't want to spend that money. That's dumb.
Exactly, right. And I think we're finding that, especially with a double party wall structure, that for the same or less of an investment than it would cost to demolish, we can stabilize that property. Even if we sell it for $1, it's a win. We've preserved the structure. That is a structure that's going to be taxed at a higher value than a vacant lot.
I was thinking more
for
like
another 100 years.
Are there like 2 of them in the city of Pittsburgh or 2,000 of them in the city of Pittsburgh? Like how many do you? I know you've looked at this more carefully and more recently than probably most of us.
There are 1,980 condemned properties as of maybe a week or 2 ago. Something else to keep in mind with that list too is that something is condemned because a neighbor has called, because somebody's noticed that it's vacant. With more data analysis and with additional staff ability to be combing the streets, we know that there are more houses out there that are abandoned and vacant, but they haven't been reported. They're not deteriorating enough on the outside to know that they need to be condemned. I think sometimes, and then even the inspector opinion on what should be condemned varies a lot, because they've got, I don't know, maybe at least 10. All PLI code enforcement does condemnation, so you're even going to get some variability in what they're choosing to condemn. So that list is likely larger than that. The numbers of what we believe to be vacant housing eligible for tax foreclosure, I definitely have that number in my capital budget presentation from 2025. I want to say it was 7,000.
That's a lot.
But someone should go back and I can go back and check, double check to make sure I've got that right.
So what we've said before at the table is that, and I think what the public wants to hear from us is that we are going to move. We haven't moved quickly enough for a couple of decades, and so that we let those properties that were perfectly fine 20 years ago, 15 years ago, now fall down, and that's bad. We want to stop doing that. So your work is going to get in front of that kind of demolition by neglect cycle.
Exactly.
And that's what people want to hear, and that we're basically funding here. You've also said that you, so far, like right this minute, like today, there's $40,000 in property tax annually that has been recovered by land bank work. The land bank gets to take half of that for 5 years. Do you kind of have a goal for the next 12 months of how much more in property tax recovery there is? I think you have a goal for like how many properties you want to sell.
It's actually extremely difficult for us to project the tax revenue that we
Sure,
will make.
because you don't know what it's going to be, right?
And we don't, and because the
But,
way
but
that
like number of houses that you have a goal for the next 12 months?
this year, let's see, we made 88 sales last year. I don't know the number off the top of my head. I think it's going to be something similar. It's between 60 and 90 projected sales. And it might be a little bit lower this year just because we're switching from lots to structures. You know, we can sell kind of 10 lots at a time, and it can be a similar amount of work to the sale of a single structure.
So even if, like, let's say it's another 40,000 in property value, you don't really know for, you know, property tax revenue. You know, even over 10 years, that's $400,000 just today of what's been, you know, the property tax revenue, right? We shouldn't look at the property tax revenue as a 1-year number. And we usually think about this other ways, right? And so if we doubled that, then we've already gotten up to, like, you know, over the next 10 years, hopefully, you know, we'll double that. And so we'll have 80,000 in a given year or 800,000 over the next 10 years. Because it's cumulative, right? That 40,000 this year doesn't like roll off the property tax revenue, right? And so we're going to keep hopefully adding at least the same amount each year, and maybe even get better at it or faster at it, and have more capacity to do more. So, or those houses that the next set of 10 houses or 80 houses that you get won't be quite as falling apart.
Yes.
Right? As we get ahead of this.
Exactly.
They will be, hopefully, maybe more valuable, but also less expense intensive, labor intensive, you know, cost us less in the handling and rehabbing before we put it back on the market. I just want to paint that picture for people because, again, I think when I've gotten like their questions before, I was kind of like, well, no, technically those aren't City of Pittsburgh properties, right? But I want to make sure that we finish the story and say, but we are starting to take those properties that you see them on the street and you maybe think they are already city properties, but they aren't. They're still, you know, they got somebody's name on it. Maybe it's someone who we can't find and who abandoned the property 20 years ago. But that's what we're funding here, is the work that you're doing to get ahead of that cycle, so that someone can live in that house. It doesn't fall apart as you watch it fall apart and then get condemned, because people are rightly kind of, you know, unhappy to see those. Right. That wasn't a question, but I just wanted to make sure that we kind of put, when we talk about this, that we talk about them both, so because people still ask me questions about it, even like literally like this month. So appreciate it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Further discussion? Wait, Councilman Coghill, do you have a question?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. I saw you lean forward. I didn't see your hand.
Sorry.
We'll go to second round.
Welcome. Good to see you both. I just want to clarify, and I think Councilwoman Gross just did, and I just want to verify, of those 1,980 condemnations, they're not all city. They're a mix of private and city.
That's exactly right. There's about 250 structures in the 3 taxi body inventory last time I checked, and the rest are privately owned.
Oh, so it's
properties.
250 of those are city, so we're just a fraction.
That's right.
Of those condemnations, right? Is it harder to get the ball rolling for a demo or to rehab something that's privately owned? I mean, I've had nightmares with this.
Well, now that the land bank has the ability to place properties into sheriff's sale,
right,
we can process a property and receive the deed that is free and clear in about 9 months. So we have our inaugural batch of properties that are in District 3 and 4 that we're getting ready to place in sheriff's sale. So we do expect that to create a much more predictable pipeline of receiving properties.
Yeah, I've got one in particular on Pauline. I may have given it to you. I'm not sure, but it's privately owned. You know, we're trying to find the owner. Can she sell it? What can she do? But I wonder if that's on your list.
Pauline is not ringing a bell, but I know.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's not Pauline. It's off Pauline. It's Lonergan.
That might be new. Because I know we talked about one a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
that one did turn over on its own. But if you have any properties you would like us to look at, please send
this
them
one
our
in
way.
particular. This is a
Yeah.
demo. It's fallen. It's done.
And if it
So
doesn't
you'll
make
still
sense,
aggressively pursue a private condemnation to demo it. You're not. I understand trying to get ahead of the curve, but
well, so we don't do demolition. We only do stabilization at the land bank, and that's only because we have such a robust demolition program through PLI. I don't
so
want
I
to
have to go
replicate
through
what's
PLI
there.
then with that particular property. I know it's got to be a demo. It's not questionable.
And you're always welcome to email both of us.
Right.
And I'm
right.
happy to look into it with Director Columbus,
Right,
and we can make a determination if it makes sense for his program or mine. But you can think of us as working.
So you won't
Yeah.
pursue a sheriff's sale for a condemned private property that needs to be demoed.
We at least try not
Yeah.
to.
Okay.
The challenge.
PLI
of course,
will. PLI can do that, and that's who.
Yeah.
I believe it's on their radar screen, so that's good. One other thing I wanted to ask you is the bidding process. When you do put something up, how does it work? Is it private bidding? Is it public? Is it
for the sale of the property?
Yeah.
So when we take it through sheriff's sale, we have a priority. The Pittsburgh Land Bank has a priority bid. So the property is not exposed to general auction at sheriff's sale. But when we acquire that property, when it enters land bank inventory, if we're selling through pilot residential rehab, we'll just list it for sale. We list our properties on MLS. We typically list through a realtor, so that would be visible to any buyer.
We're not the
interested in
realtor.
purchasing.
We hire a realtor.
Right.
Who is our realtor?
We've used a handful. We actually have an open RFQ right now. So if you know any licensed real estate agents,
okay.
please send them our way.
Right.
We have some listed through Miranda McIntyre and Zach Rastelli right now. Dawn, and we've used others as well, and we'll use other real estate agents.
So do we give them a starting price, or do we just take? I mean, you said we don't have to take the highest bid.
That's right.
So you have the power to say, well, this is the most qualified person by looking at their plan or what they plan to do with that property.
So we set a work plan, right? So we have a minimum amount that we want to see that buyer can leverage. And then they have the ability to craft their own work plan. You know, sometimes if you own a contracting business, you work in the window installation industry, and you want to say, oh, I could do this work myself, and you think you could do it a little cheaper, we're happy to hear, we're happy to take those modifications to the work plan. And then they have to have proof of funding to both purchase and rehab the property. That's really the number one requirement.
Yeah, but we do have a starting price, meaning you have to
yes,
recover the costs, right?
Yeah, and that's part of why we like to use a licensed real estate agent, is that we're really leaning on that agent to help us know the market and what's going to be competitive. Of course, and just like any regular real estate sale, we will of course take offers on that property once we list it for sale. I want to say our average price right now is between $20,000 and $60,000.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And obviously, the agent, it works by a percentage point, I would think. Yeah.
Yes.
Therefore, they're incentivized to try to get the biggest bang for the buck.
Because of the low prices, we actually aren't.
That's probably why you're having
enough.
a hard time attracting real estate agents, right?
We have a couple, and actually our current agent, she used to work for the Urban Redevelopment Authority. Like, they're both very community involved.
Right.
And so there are some folks out there that kind of want to give back, want to participate, even though they understand this isn't going to be a major revenue source of
That's what I'm saying,
for their business. But we are finding folks that are willing to be our listing agent, even though it's just a flat commission.
Yeah, okay. That's all for me. I'm glad you're getting a little bit of money for your staff. That's wonderful. But obviously we have to find a long-term solution for you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Councilman Wilson, did you have a question, second round?
No, I just have a statement. So, I do have a quick question to follow up on what you said, because I don't want to put words in your mouth, but were you wondering if at all we ever demo properties that we don't own?
Oh, I know the answer to that because I
Okay.
know I've had that, but that was through PLI, not through the land bank.
Okay.
And that's what you verified, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I know there are private properties that, whether we can't find them, they're way
Okay,
back.
so you
in
knew
the-
that already. I was just.
Yeah, oh, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
just think that's important.
Yeah, I just didn't know if the land bank actually
I think
did
that's an
that
important
too, yeah.
connection because,
Yeah.
you know, it kind of relates to Councilperson Gross's questions, and I don't want to put words in your mouth either, but I think you were just trying to clarify, you know, something you often say, which is that there's really only X number of structures, and you were focusing on the city-owned inventory, but really we're responsible for more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking about possibly close to 7,000. We'll get into more.
80% really is not owned by us.
Yeah, I mean, think
structures,
about
right.
clean and lean.
Yeah,
We're going
right.
on people's
Yeah,
property.
right,
We're
right.
leaning the property. So we're really responsible for making sure that these properties are taken care of, and which ultimately leads to people's, you know, neighborhoods looking better.
Even though it's not our fault, but yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and so to that effect, I think there was, you know, some mentioning and some question about like decades of not, you know, having this process in place where we're recycling, you know, a good land recycling process. And to that effect, it's very similar to our disinvestment in the fleet throughout decades.
Right.
But we here sit and think that the fleet is like this, you know, I believe it is too, the core service. I mean, that's how we deliver services, right? It's you know, number one function almost. And oftentimes I wonder how much we're committed, myself as well, you know, committed to making sure that investing in a good land recycling process and structure recycling, for whatever you want to call it, and investing in entities like the land bank, if we actually see that as like a core city service. It doesn't feel like we see that as that. I would love to get there for myself and for all of us in the administration. But I think that when we have these really tough conversations about the budget, I just feel like there's this other part of it, and this is that part of it that we're like, we could really, you know, do a lot better at. So, you know, as always, I hope to keep this conversation going with this, but I would like to get somewhere where we actually see, you know, investing in the land bank as like a core city function, like a function of our government.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I agree. I think it needs to be taken more seriously. However, I do feel that in your line of work, that we could almost self-sustain itself. Unlike vehicles, where you know, take them off the lot and you lose half their value pretty much. But in your field, we at least can recover and get them back on the tax rolls, which helps, again, as Councilwoman Gross said, the long-term, you know, revolving year after year income. So at least we're able to get some back. But no, I agree with you, Councilman Wilson. It's I'd like to clean up all the properties. You know, I'm a little surprised to hear that only 20% of them are really our structures that are condemned. That's kind of a lower figure than what I was estimating. So I don't know if it's good or bad. It's good for, you know, the city of Pittsburgh, I guess. But as Councilman Wilson points out, it's still our responsibility when somebody abandons a place. So I wish you could, you know, do the demo as well. But
I mean, I would. I mean, we have an excellent demo program that we run through PLI.
Right.
If the funding is there, then we can, you know, and I really want to emphasize that, you know, we have to do demo and stabilization side by side. It's kind of like not an either or.
Sure.
I can't sell my structures when we're not able to demolish those around that structure that need to come down.
And
Yeah,
at least
I think it's just a matter of funding.
And at least with clean and lean, or when PLI takes down a private, there is a lien, correct? I mean, if it cost us $50,000 to tear that house down, then whoever purchases that property, if anybody ever purchases that property, we are reimbursed.
That is technically true. I'm not sure how often that lien is actually collected. It kind of, with the majority of lots, they're not, it really creates an issue where you can't resell that lot because the value
Right.
of the lot is much
Right.
lower
Yeah.
than that.
Yeah, and then
that
we're asking
demo
for our
unit.
50,000 to knock it down. It makes it really unpurchasable, pretty much. So it sits there as a green space. Okay. Thanks.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Bill 254, please say aye.
Aye.
Affirmative recommendation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bill 255.
Resolution adopting, resolution adopting plan revision to the City of Pittsburgh's official sewage facilities plan for 120 Cecil Place at no cost to the city.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of 255, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Affirmative recommendation. Bill 256.
Resolution adopting plan revision to the City of Pittsburgh's official sewage facilities plan for 403, 407, and 413 Chalfont Street at no cost to the city.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of 256, please say aye.
Aye.
Affirmative recommendation. Final bill of the day, Bill 257.
Resolution approving execution of a contract for disposition by sale of land between the URA of Pittsburgh and Margaret Elizabeth Graham for the sale of Block 50F, Lot 144 in the 10th Ward, City of Pittsburgh, Rosetta Street, Council District Number 9, at no cost to the city.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Bill 257, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Affirmative recommendation. That exhausts our standing committee's agenda. Meeting announcements. This afternoon at 1:30 p.m., Council will hold a cablecast post-agenda discussion on the fourth quarter 2025 financial report. Tomorrow, March 26th at 11 a.m., Council will hold a pre-agenda interview with John McClory for the directorship of the Department of Public Works. Next week, Council will hold their regular meeting on Tuesday, March 31st, and standing committees meeting on Wednesday, April 1st, both at 10 a.m. To register to speak at these meetings, please fill out the sign-up form on the council meeting webpage by the deadlines. You may also call the clerk's office at 412-255-2138. Is there anything from members? Council President Lavelle.
Thank you. So as members are aware, yesterday the administration, we introduced legislation from the administration to reopen our budget. I believe the last time we did it was in 2020, I believe, when we had to direct money from our reserve fund to our operating budget so that we wouldn't have to lay off workers during the COVID-19. But this time, so that was just sort of a singular amendment, whereas of this time, there's actually 63, I'm looking at our budget, 63 actual amendments to the operating budget. So for that purpose, we'll follow a more traditional budget process. And so next Tuesday, we'll have a special meeting on the Committee of Finance and Law where we'll have the administration and OMB here to present the 63 amendments where then members can have an opportunity to actually ask questions. And then on Wednesday, April 8th, following our normal standing committee agenda, we would then have a special line item vote on all those amendments. And then on Tuesday, once we voted through the amendments, we then have to actually hold a public hearing. So we would then hold the public hearing. And then on Wednesday, April 15th, we would then hold our preliminary vote. And then on the 20th, which is when we have double meetings on that Monday, we'll have our final vote so that we can hopefully be done with this before the draft. So with that, I actually need to call for a special meeting of the Committee of Finance and Law for Tuesday, March 31st at 1:30, as well as on Wednesday, April 8th, a special Committee of Finance and Law for a tentative line item vote. I need someone to second.
Second.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We will schedule those. Thank you, Council President, for keeping us organized on this. Anything else from members? With that, Councilman Mosley.
Yeah, I just wanted to take a moment to send my condolences to the family of Dr. James Johnson from the African American Music Institute, whose homegoing ceremony will be this Saturday. True cultural giant in the city who's been recognized by the Pittsburgh Symphony and many of our other esteemed institutions for all that he has done to preserve the rich jazz legacy here in the city. He also was a very dear friend of my father. So I'm sure they're having some interesting conversations about jazz music right now. But I had an opportunity to speak to Mrs. Johnson last night, and I look forward to morning with them on Saturday morning. But I did want to put that out there because he's been so important to our community.
Thank you. Would you like a moment of silence?
Yes, yeah, I'd like to call for a moment of silence for Dr. Johnson.
Anything else from members? With that, I'll take a motion to approve the minutes and adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Meeting is adjourned.